intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1 0 1 1 1 0 1 1 6 3 2 9 7.
Media doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I am your host, Michael Strange. I am here with your co-host, Frank Pierce. And we would like to say hello to all of you who might also have troubled minds. For those of you in the know, we are recording this show live. The date is October 25th, 2018, and this is live. If you're listening now, you can call into the show. The number to call is 702-957-1037. One more time, that's 702-957-1037. You can also click the Discord link. It's in the stream on Little Green Men on Facebook. We're streaming on YouTube, reading comments from both. And we're going to talk about some scary things. We're going to talk about some frightening things. We're going to talk about some urban legends. But not from the old days. These are modern. These might actually be walking around your neighborhood right now. But before we get there, we've got some news to touch. We've got some interesting things to talk about, per usual. And before we even get to that point, we've got more important things. Ladies and gentlemen, your co-host, Frank Pierce.
Hello, I'm Frank Pierce. So we're back again to cover these strange, these weird, these interesting topics. And to do it in a way that's hopefully a little bit different than you've seen before, where we look into the history, look into the science, look into the old literature to try to find out what's really going on. And we've done that today with the topic we're covering, but we'll get to that in a bit. Feel free to join us. We don't have all the answers. We don't know everything. In fact, we know quite a little bit, really, in the grand scheme of things, and we're willing to admit our ignorance. So if you want to call in, call in. If you want to join the Discord, free chat client. You can hop right on. That's how we're communicating, and talk to us and tell us your opinion about these things. And we've had some great callers over the past several shows that have really told us some interesting stories and some interesting history about all these creepy, these wild, these strange topics. And as always, your comments are welcome. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's just get right into it. We got an action-packed show today.
All right, let's do it. So we have, if you want your comments read, Little Green Men will read it. We'll say your first name. If you want to be anonymous, go to YouTube. We're streaming there, and we will not read your name there. So just so you got a choice in the matter, because we don't want to, out you as somebody who actually uses your brain and asks real questions. We'd hate to do that to you because, other people don't understand, and that's okay. But for now, before we do that, before we even do any of that, let's do some news. Let's do some news. And a couple shout-outs. Mark, Tim, what's up, guys? Thanks for showing up. Now let's do some news. What do we got there, Frank? What are we looking at?
I have to jump in and say something regarding the comments. That last episode we had, we're doing a special news episode that you can catch on Tuesdays, but we had phantom comments. We had people watching the stream commenting, and somehow, some way, something was commenting for them. It was saying things that they didn't type out themselves. And on top of that, we've had censorship, we've had redactions, we've had all sorts of strange things going on. So keep an eye out for that tonight. If suddenly you see a name in the chat and it says "great show," but you think the show's bad and you didn't type it, let us know, or don't. Either way. But yeah, let's get into news.
It's not us if that happens. We didn't hack you. We're not doing that. Okay, yeah, let's do the news. What you got there, Frank?
Okay, so this is an interesting story. There's a strange cloud on Mars right now, and it's just hanging around. So we like to cover these space topics. My personal opinion, there's a space race going on right now. Tons of news, tons of information coming out about space. This is from space.com. So there's a strange cloud on Mars right now, and it's just hanging around. And you can see the picture of that if you pull it up. But this is pretty weird, and their explanation is even weirder. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but not 2 years ago, we didn't even know that there was ice on Mars. We thought it was nothing. We thought maybe there was some at the poles, but that was it. And now all of a sudden they're seeing this strange cloud, and of course they immediately attribute it to, let me find their quote here, they attribute it to ice. They say that ice is blowing up against the edge of a volcano, and the cloud is full of water ice, the agency continued, created by airflow going along the side of the volcano. So they got this strange cloud, and they immediately think it's an ice in the air. But a year or 2 years ago, they had no idea ice was there at all. So how is that? How is it that all of a sudden they know that this is ice when 2 years ago it was completely impossible for ice to be on Mars? Like, things are changing so fast, so rapidly. But yeah, this is bizarre. This strange cloud just kind of hovering in the air. And interestingly enough, like sandstorms and all this other stuff, it moves the cloud around a bit, but it keeps coming back up, almost like there is some kind of volcanic activity. Although they vehemently deny that. They say that this is just ice being blown up into the air. Really strange story. I'm not even sure what to make about this, but something a little fishy with this, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I saw this and I thought, hey, China made it to Mars and they've opened up the factory.
Because, yeah, they're polluting already. Yeah.
Right. You like that? Yeah. No, I mean, that was my first thought. Literally, it was like one of those chuckle thoughts to myself. I was like, oh, hey, China made it. Now we know. It's the real thing. They're manufacturing widgets up there or whatever. But no, then my second thought was, wait, this is the Mars with the light atmosphere. This is Mars with all the things, like you said, no liquid water until recently. And it doesn't make sense. Again, one more time, this is space.com. NASA's involved, of course, because you don't get photographs like this unless NASA's involved. And it is peculiar. So you see it kind of by the, it looks like by a crater, right? It looks like it's literally coming out of a crater maybe, but it just kind of sits there. So it does look like maybe some kind of volcanic thing going on, which is interesting, curious, and awesome all at the same time. So this is one we can keep an eye on. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think? What's up? A couple more. We got Robert. We got Nick. Thanks for showing up, guys. And odd, definitely odd. Clouds don't just sit in one place. They dissipate, and unless if there's a fire or if it's a volcano and it's ash, then you can see it like this. It would make this type of thing because it would continue to replenish the cloud that dissipates. But in this case, it's just sitting there. It's like it's not dissipating. So it gives you the vibe that something's happening that they don't want to discuss, other than, you know, what they said, which is ice, right? We got ice now, ice in the atmosphere.
Yeah. So again, I don't quite understand this, but a year, 2 years ago, they had no idea there was ice there, and now all of a sudden they can just snap their fingers and they can say, "Wow, this is water ice created by airflow along the edge of a volcano." Like they're suddenly omniscient. Suddenly they know everything about Mars, whereas a year or two ago they didn't even know we had ice. And look at the size of this thing in relation to the planet as a whole. This is a huge cloud. So the surface of Mars is now spewing up bountiful amounts of water into the air. And who knows why? Who knows? So I guess we'll find out. 2020, 2021, Elon Musk, maybe. Let's
Elon Musk for president. Let's just put him in, get it done. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. Robert says, wouldn't that mean when there's water on Mars, then also wouldn't that mean there would be life too? I think that's pretty obvious, I think, to the people that think about it. Robert, being yourself, and the rest of us that are here listening and that listen to this. But I'm not so sure. I mean, if we have, like it's long been said that we need liquid water for life, and it's long been said we need the Goldilocks zone in the solar system. Well, I think Mars qualifies for both now, doesn't it? I would think.
Yeah, the temperatures may be a little cold, but you never know. Like, you never know. There's stuff in caverns in Antarctica, apparently. There's plants growing in Antarctica right now, where under the surface there's a bunch of water, a bunch of frozen, melted water from the glacier above, and it's nice and warm and humid, and stuff's growing in there. So I don't see why it couldn't be the same case on Mars. They certainly haven't been there. They certainly haven't checked the cave systems, if there are any. They have no idea. And I think that's the point, is they write these things from a perspective that they know everything, and they're continually proven wrong by themselves as time goes on. I wish they would just acknowledge that they really don't know what's going on. They don't know what this thing is, but this snap explanation that it's ice crystals formed by wind along the edge of a volcano, I don't buy.
That are in one perfect little strip there. That's a hell of some ice crystals or whatever's going on. Larry, thanks for showing up. Say, what's up, dudes? What's up, dudes? Yeah, I don't know. This is one of those NASA mysteries again. Is this Photoshop or is this for real? Is this more disinformation? Is this a legitimate thing? Maybe a volcano? Maybe it's ice crystals? Sounds suspicious. But who knows? Who knows? What's up, Nikki? Thanks for showing up. What do you guys think? Is this something that we should continue talking about, or should we move on? If you want to be a part of the show, the number to call is 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link right there in the little green men's stream, and we'll put you on the show. You can talk to Frank and Mike and talk about Mars or any of the other topics that we're going to touch on tonight. So there's that one. We got one comment from Robert, and that's fantastic because it's totally right. I mean, if you have water, if you have ice, it's not frozen all the time, and it's not. It would beg the question and point to there's probably life there. And, you know, NASA tries to cover it, and nobody wants to admit the obvious. I think even the closest planet to us, we probably have life there. It's just it's silly to deny it. And I know science has to be careful, and I know they have to have, you know, proof before they make these huge claims. But I mean, microbes, right? There's life there. Come on. I'm going to go on record and say it. I'm calling it now. So when it turns out that I'm right, you know, whenever they decide to admit this, then they can come back to me and, you know, pay me the government fee with interest because I called it. Right? There we go. There's my government work. What's up? Couple more shout-outs. Nikki, Ash, Steve, thanks for showing up, guys. We're talking about Mars. We're talking about this weird cloud hanging around. What do you think? What do you think? Okay, we're going to move on. If you got comments on this one, we'll catch up, or you can give us a call one more time, 702-957-1037, or click the Discord link. We'll put you on the show. All right, what else we got there, Frank?
Yeah, so just a YouTube comment here. Lots of weird stuff going in space after the telescope shutdown. And absolutely, I agree. And going further on that topic, we had the observatory shutdown. And then after that, we had the Hubble and the Chandra space telescopes, both shut down temporarily. And now we have NASA Kepler Space Telescope powers down and might be dead. So this is from the Independent. Basically, this thing has been up there for years and years and years, and apparently it's running out of fuel now. And this thing went to sleep by itself, woke back up again, and then went back to sleep. So this thing, again, it's quite old. It's been up in space for a while. They don't quite tell us what fuel is up there. So they repeatedly say, this thing's running out of fuel, running out of energy, it might finally run out of power. But they don't ever actually say, of course it's not gasoline, right? It must be some kind of radioactive material or something like that that's finally running out. But they don't explain it. Anyway, this Kepler Space Telescope is shut down. So this is the fourth, if not the fifth, I think, telescope, either on Earth or in orbit, that's shut down in the last month and a half. So a strange conflux of events here. This is pretty weird, pretty strange. And again, a common theme with all these stories is no transparency. So they didn't tell us why the observatory was shut down until this made-up excuse of, you know, a janitor and child pornography. And then, that's my opinion anyway. And they didn't tell us why the Hubble or the Chandra was down. You know, a little bit of an explanation there. And now the Kepler Space Telescope shut down. They don't know why. They just tried to contact it, and it was asleep. So, really odd stuff going on lately. What do you think about it?
I think this is an odd one. I'm pretty sure this is the same Kepler. This is an oldie. This has been around for a number of years, and it's gone to sleep a few times. I think that's the case. I read this article yesterday, and it's kind of run out of fuel, and they've been able to wake it up and coax it back, and you know, back and forth for several years now. And this time, apparently, now they say it's dead. Of course, every other time they've said it's dead too, but it turns back on miraculously. So is that an actual thing? I mean, when your car runs out of gas, okay, fuel, truck, diesel, whatever you're driving, and it's out, you can't coax it back. It's out of fuel, right? So if it's not some kind of solar regenerating thing, then when it's out, right? So how the hell does it keep waking up year after year, time after time, and this time, like the other times before it, it's dead. So it kind of makes you suspicious, right? It makes you wonder, is this an actual fuel issue, like something with the technology, something with the life events or lifetime of this actual device, or is this some kind of censorship and it's an excuse? Curious, right? Curious. Ash says, gray aliens. That's the deal. I think talking about Mars, we were on the Mars subject when that popped up. Dave, thanks for showing up. Says, what's up, guys? Robert, well, you would imagine they would be using solar panels to power it. So why would it be losing power if that would be the case? Exactly my point. So either it has some kind of solar cells that can recharge, or it doesn't. Okay, period. That's one or the other. You can't have, or I guess you could have a hybrid system. I guess that would make sense. But right now, it's dead. It's run out of fuel, and that's that. Like many times before. Did you read about the other times there, Frank? Am I correct? I'm pretty sure I'm right on that.
I think it was only temporary. It went down just very briefly, and then it came back up. But this time, and that was also a predicted event. They knew it was going to happen, I think, is in the past. This time, shut down without a reason, came back up, shut down again. Now, speaking about the fuel issue, I've actually looked into this thing and tried to find out what the fuel is and what they actually put on there. And they really never tell you. They never give you a schematic of this thing. They don't show you, if there's solar panels or if there's what kind of thrusters they have on it, what kind of fuel they're using. They just gloss over it. You're not smart enough to understand that. You couldn't understand it even if you wanted to. So they never really give us, again, that transparency. That's the word that I'll keep coming back to, is transparency. I want to know how this thing's built. Our tax dollars paid for it, after all. I want to know what kind of fuel they're using. I want to know, how often they're using it, why they even need to use fuel in the first place, I guess, to reposition it. And I want to know all these things, but unfortunately...
You're not allowed. You're not qualified. Not qualified. Too dumb, Frank. Sorry, buddy. Larry says, what's up, Larry? He says, Nibiru's starting to affect Martian crust, causing volcanic spurts. Huh. That's an interesting thought, especially with the Goblin planet found recently, and the scientists, astronomers that be, confirming that it's 90% chance that there is an actual Planet X, or they're calling it Planet 9 now, but that would be Nibiru, for sure. Good call, maybe. You never know. Like those types of things change things with gravity and Who knows? Who knows? We'll keep an eye on it for sure. Lucio, thanks for showing up, buddy. He says Kepler, made of adamantium. It looks like tinfoil to me, but okay, we'll go with that. It's made out of adamantium tonight. But in any case, it's dead, so I don't think it really matters what it's made of at this point because it's no longer sending us cool images they can Photoshop. So, yeah, there's that. Any comments, guys? If you want to talk about this, 702-957-1037, or click the Discord link in the Little Green Men, and we'll put you on the show. All right. We got a couple more here. What do you want to talk about, Frank?
Let's do the iceberg update. So we talked about this the last show. This square iceberg, rectangular shaped, perfectly smooth square sides. This is from the best journalism in all the world, CNN. That rectangular iceberg spotted by NASA is real. Well, I'm already suspicious when I hear NASA is involved. But yeah, so they saw this iceberg, perfectly square, rectangular edges, very odd entirely. Again, ice is very fragile, right? So you would expect this thing to shatter, to break apart, especially the edges. They would crumble off in no time. But they have this thing, square, rectangle, perfectly flat on top, and it does not look like it should. Like, you don't see this kind of thing very often. Now, I think we were talking about this the last episode, but we kind of discussed what's going on here. I said they'd just forget about it. They'd let it go. And you made the claim that, oh, they'd gin up some scientists to say, I've seen this thing a million times, right? Something to that effect. And that's what they've done here. Essentially, they said it's a natural...
Go ahead. I totally found it, but go ahead. That's what this article's about. Yeah.
It's a natural occurrence. It's beautiful, but nothing out of the ordinary. I've seen many icebergs around Antarctica that have very straight, very long edges. And conveniently, that's a great quote. So you've seen an iceberg. It has one very long, straight edge. Well, what about the other four edges? You know, like, that quote did not really tell me anything. That quote did not answer the question that we're posing. Why is it a rectangle? Do you see what I mean? So it's almost as if, again, CNN is treating us like we're morons because, great, I believe that you can have an iceberg with one flat edge. I do not believe you can have an iceberg with four flat edges. So, again, they're pulling the experts out. They probably, gave them a CNN gift card and got the quote in the article, and there we go. Now, interestingly, if you scroll down to the very bottom, they have a more complete picture of this iceberg. So it's not actually a rectangle. It looks more like a rectangle attached to a triangle, if you can see that at the very bottom. So this thing isn't perfectly rectangular, but it's instead a kind of a rectangle-triangle combination, a trapezoid of some sort. And you know what? Looking at this photo, I don't know if you're seeing this photo, but this is a Photoshopped photo. There's like a clear line through the center. Do you see?
Yeah, it seems... we had somebody call in on the last show and point that out. It looks fake. In these photographs, that actually looks phony. It looks like it's a Photoshop job. It looks like it's been doctored one way or the other. It just, it looks suspicious. Yeah.
So you see the photo with the airplane engine on the left-hand side?
Right.
You can see a line. They've composed two images together to create this thing. So again, who the hell knows what's going on here? But is it so much to ask that we could have one single photograph of this? Why do you have to compose two images together to kind of make this thing real? But who knows? Again, so no explanation. I'm sure most people will read this and say, sure, that's great. We have an expert. He's seen this a million times. Nothing to see here. Move along. But even in his statement, he saw one flat edge. He didn't see 1, 2, 3, 4 flat edges. So
I think you know what we have here? I think I'm going to remove the tinfoil hat for just a sec and maybe burst some bubbles. But I think we have a situation where the iceberg itself, the section that we're seeing is as you see the plane fly by, you can kind of see it where on one side and like one half of the thing looks perfect and the other side is not so much perfect. And so I think what we're seeing here is it's like clickbait. It's media clickbait. So I looked into this a little bit. And Dave says that's not natural. Yeah, agreed. But hold on, the scientists say it is. This is dated from 2012. This is called a tabular iceberg. Okay, and the definition is an iceberg that is broken off from an ice shelf. Newly formed tabular icebergs have nearly vertical sides and flat tops. So that implies that underneath is not necessarily flat, but Right. So anyway, there we go. There's the scientific actual name for this thing. So you can see in the plane as it flies by, it's one side looks perfect, the back side looks kind of roundish, like kind of bulby. You know what I'm saying? Look at that one, Frank. So as in the plane image where it looks like the video, it's flying up on this thing, and the side that it's flying to looks pretty square. But look at the back side of it, like on the left.
Yeah,
top
so
side.
Right before that happens in this video, you actually see an iceberg further off to the left. I think that's the iceberg they're looking at, because the iceberg at the end of that video is a rectangle. But I think they're misattributing that to the original image, which is the one further off to the left, and that's more of a rectangle triangular combination. Do you see that one? That's the one I'm thinking of. And, you're looking at the plane and you see a bunch of square-looking icebergs, and you're correct. Most of them they have rounded edges. Maybe they're flat on one side, like this expert claims, but they're not flat on every single side. They're not perfectly rectangular. Whereas this one, you see it just off the frame to the left-hand side. Kind of does.
Yeah, this was the second one, I think. So I saw another article today where they were talking about there was a second one that was similar, and they had them right next to each other. It was in that one shot on the bottom of the article. So there was another shot that had this one, and then there was another one. So I'm not sure why they didn't add this to this article. Maybe it was published too early before that came out. I don't know. But anyway, what do you guys think? So is this natural? So Dave says that's not natural. It does look very suspicious, that's for sure. We'll categorize this under suspicious. So what do you think? We're taking calls, guys. 702-957.
Sorry, I have to interrupt. I don't buy it. This is bullshit. Sorry to interrupt. Again, look at that image on the very bottom. They treat people so stupidly. They treat us like we're fucking morons, excuse my language, because they can't even give us a single image of this iceberg. They have to take two images, move them together, and in such an obvious way. You can see that line where they've clearly cropped two images into each other. They're treating us like we're morons. And so there's something here, and I don't quite understand what it is or where it's going, but why can't we just get a single photograph of this thing? Why do they have to crop two images into each other to produce the effect? I don't get it. So something very suspicious going on.
Definitely true. One more time, guys. 702-957-1037 if you want to talk about this or any of the other things. A few comments to catch up on. Robert says, it seems like they're trying to get our focus on that instead of something else. Maybe. We'll get to that in a sec. Larry says, depending on the camera angle, it looks like the styrofoam that blew off my ice shanty. You're the man, Larry. That's funny. It does look styrofoamy, that's for sure. I'll bet you that would keep my beer cold. What do you think? Kelly, good evening. Thanks for showing up, buddy. Dave says, if it was so normal, why would NASA even make an issue out of it when spotted? That's a pretty good point. That's a pretty good point right there. If it's a normal thing and scientists are used to this, then exactly, why are we talking about it? It happens all the time, right? so why do we get news articles talking about it? Great point. Great point. That kind of lines it up with what Frank thinks here. Kelly says, I still call bullshit that it's tabular iceberg. There are not pictures of one that square. NASA even tried to use one that looked like that, but didn't get close. And Lucio says, I agree. It looks doctored. Could be a lens creating the effect. Yeah, I think that's the problem, right? So our technology is nice. These photographs are really nice. Well, at least this image of this flying plane, and it looks really good, but it kind of looks like it's from a movie. You're right. I wouldn't put it past the propaganda spin doctors to do something like this and actually Photoshop or change things to what end. I can't tell you. I can't begin, because the news cycle is so thick with BS that I just can't begin to imagine why this would be some disinformation. That's all. So I remain agnostic on this one. Okay. So what else do we got? I
think that's it for my news. Aaron here?
Yeah, I got some news. I can do news. All right, here we go. Here's a good one. Did you reported by Forbes.com? Why don't we put a space telescope on the moon? Whoa. Would that be like brilliant, or what would that be like? Would that be like duh obvious? I don't understand. The tagline for this article, I love it, says, the universe is out there waiting for you to discover it. Oh dear Lord. And they have this nice photograph, which is kind of like a cartoon rendering of, a big little, or actually, let's say a little Martian base and some astronauts up there. I don't know. What do you think? You get a chance to look at this article there, Frank? I think it's the most obvious thing in the world.
This is one of the stupidest articles I've ever read. So they say, well, why couldn't you put it on the moon? Well, if you put it on the front side of the moon, then you're only going to be ever looking at the Earth. That's no good. And if you put it on the dark side of the moon, well, then you can't send signals to the telescope to control it. Yet the Chinese have seemed to solve this problem by putting a satellite around the moon where they can bounce the signals from Earth to the satellite to the dark side of the moon. So it seems like a non-issue, and they're making such a big deal out of it here. And then they go on to say, well, what about the temperature extremes? Because the moon's tidal locking is locked to Earth, and it's extremely slow rotation, it's bathed in sunlight for 14 days at a time, followed by 14 days of total darkness. Well, what about the telescopes in space? Do they not get sunlight all the time? Do they not get darkness sometimes? It seems to me that it's exactly the same. There's no difference whatsoever. Temperature extremes as well, because they are in direct sunlight. And sometimes when they're occluded by planet or the moon, they're in darkness. So telescopes in space have no problem. Why not a telescope on the moon? So all these reasons they're bringing up, I'm lost for words here. They're the same problems that everyone has to solve for any issue. Like, these are not big problems. Again, the Chinese have a satellite orbiting the moon, and they're going to use that to beam signals from the Earth to the orbiting satellite, to the rover that they're sending to the dark side. So the same thing could be done for a telescope put on the dark side of the moon. It'd be a good idea in my opinion.
I think so too. We could send regular missions, refuel it, etc., so on and so forth. I think it's a no-brainer. I just don't know why we haven't done it. What's up, Joe? What's up, Cinderly? Thanks for showing up. Dave says the inhabitants wouldn't be happy if we made a base on the moon or Mars. I think I said Mars earlier. I meant the moon. But yeah, you get the point. It's we as you can tell, we are big fans of getting out into space and getting off this planet before some kind of gigantic catastrophe happens and puts us back to the Stone Age, basically. As a global effect, not just one country, all of us. It's possible. It's happened before. It could happen again. Okay, so anyway, there we go. I guess that's what we get for reading space news from Forbes.com. You probably better reading off like what kind of business suit to wear or something. Okay, anyway, all right. One more, and then we'll get on to the topic at hand here. One more time. Also, guys, this is live. You want to call in and talk about these topics or anything else that we've touched on? 702-957-1037. Or click the Discord link, and we'll put you on the show. You can talk to Frank and Mike. We will be nice to you, and yeah, that's what we do. Hopefully. We haven't had to be actually mean yet, right? Not that we will.
I'm ready. I got my finger every time someone joins an intro call. I got my finger. I'm ready to ban them in an instant. I haven't had the chance yet. So there we go. We're nice. Everyone who's called in has been very nice. All the comments are very nice. So this is a good community, and we're learning a lot from you guys. So
exactly. And we're just kidding. If you disagree with us, we obviously would like to hear it. Otherwise, if we wanted to censor and not hear opposing viewpoints, we wouldn't have an open line. We wouldn't have Discord running, and we wouldn't have 702-957-1037. That's the number. So that's why we have it, because we want to make sure that we don't miss important details, and sometimes we do, because shocker, we're human. So if we do miss something huge and gloss over something and make it look like it's something that it isn't, and we want to leave it open for you guys to point it out. So again, the reason why we do the show is exactly that. We want to hear what you guys think and maybe set us straight if we miss something. So all right, so one more here. We're going to move on to this. This one's great. So this is reported by motherboard.vice.com. The headline. Here we go. Let's put it up on the screen. This guy is sealing himself in a DIY biodome to raise awareness of climate change. Nice picture. This guy's on a goofy hammock with some ferns around him, and what do you know? A bunch of plastic that is made by what? Oil. Okay. All right. So the quote is, would be happy to make it a full 24 hours, but we'll see. Oh boy. Oh boy.
I hope this guy suffocates.
Whoa.
Pardon me. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but come on now. Come on. This is not a model for the planet at large. This is not, a reproduction. It's not even to scale. This is just some wackadoodle fella who wants to do something he doesn't understand to make a statement. And oh, shocker, he's posting on YouTube to get views. He's posting on Twitter to get likes. This is an attention whore, and I hope he suffocates.
Of course, we mean that. I mean, Frank means that. What do you say? Sarcastically, we don't actually hope anybody suffocates. Please clarify, Frank. Okay.
Of course not.
Of course not. Okay. All right. So, Bill, what's up, Bill? He says, I'm working and missing my favorite show. Tears. Hey, you found time to comment, though, buddy. Thanks for showing up. Well, don't worry. We'll save an archive for you, and you can go back, and it'll be like you were there. So no problem. Appreciate you stopping in to say hi. Okay, so anyway, I thought this was pretty funny. So this guy, there he goes. Here's his tweet with a picture. Hour 0. I'm in a jar. Good night. Whatever. Okay. Obviously, this was a, one of those, LOL type news stories. I thought I'd put it up because it made me chuckle.
At the very end?
I didn't know what to say.
Update. After 15 hours, boat evacuated the shelter due to high CO2 levels. So, too bad.
Oh, get out of here! Get out of here! You figure that would have been the headline. Climate change activist has to evacuate due to high CO2 levels. Okay. Anyway.
And you know what? This is actually, I'm liking this story more and more because look at the volume of air he has in this place. That's a huge volume. There is no way a person went through all that oxygen in this huge volume in 15 hours. So again, this guy thinks that he's suffocating due to CO2. He thinks that there's no oxygen left available when clearly there was. And so I think this is a perfect analogy for the world at large. We perhaps worrying about something that perhaps we shouldn't be worrying.
Yeah, like attributing comfort to catastrophe. Okay. Anyway, we'll get to climate change. We keep digging on it, but we'll get there. We'll do a show on it, guys, and we'll dig into that evidence as well. But we think it's hilarious when this stuff comes up, and I thought it was especially hilarious that this guy was making a dome out of a plastic sheet that he was going to throw away afterward. Love the conservationists. Okay. All right. So we're gonna do. What are we gonna do? We got a good topic tonight. If you guys are in the Halloween mood, we've got a good topic for you. We're gonna talk about children with black eyes. You might have heard of them. So I was driving home tonight, and the sun was going down, and I rolled down the window thinking, it's beautiful outside. It's finally nice. Not hot in the desert. And I had that crisp, cool wind. Feels like autumn. Feels like fall. And I look off to the east, and just above the mountains, the moon is coming up. And not only that, it's a large, full moon. But it was peculiar because it was orange. It had that harvest moon effect. And it felt like it was a pumpkin waiting to be carved into a jack-o'-lantern for Halloween. It just gave me that vibe, that cool air in the window, the sun going down early, and the moon looking like the harvest jack-o'-lantern moon. It put me in the mood. I didn't see any kids with black eyes, but I thought I might have heard coyote. And I'm not sure if it was in my mind, if I fooled myself into thinking that, or maybe it was something else. I don't know. But it definitely put me in the mood. What do you think, Frank? You in the mood for a scary story? Let's do this, buddy.
Yeah, let's try to do this. Try to balance the theatrics with some truth, because I think there is some truth to this story that we'll get to at the very end. But let's go through what black-eyed children, black-eyed kids really are, and why they're so fearsome. So these are kids. They have black, soulless eyes, and they're typically described from ages 9 to 16 with a normal physique, normal behavior, slightly creepy, but these dark, fully black eyes. No iris, no white or the sclera, just pitch black eyes. And they often have pale skin associated with them. Now, they're pretty evil. That's what people tend to think. They're pretty creepy. People seem to get this feeling around them that they're too mature for their age. They wear these old-fashioned clothes, and they're said to speak with a tone and a vocabulary that's more advanced than a similar child would have. They generally appear lost and helpless, and they'll come up to you at your house or your car late at night, and they'll make this insistent request to be let inside. They show up, and for some reason they need to be let inside your car, let inside your house, let inside your RV, whatever it is, they want in. Now, for some reason, witnesses always report this feeling of inexplicable fear in the vicinity, so even before they notice the eyes are completely black, they get this panic, this fear, this need to flee the scene immediately. And so these kids also use some sort of low-level hypnotism, it appears, where people often report unconsciously letting them onto the property, unconsciously communicating with them, right before noticing their eyes and then getting the hell out of there. So I like to look back at the history of these things and, religious writings and even mythology and try to find a source for this, try to find a root cause. So things like Slender Man, don't necessarily believe that. That's dumb because there's a documented account of its creation. But, things like aliens and ghosts, they all go back to history, ancient times, and they're more believable in that aspect. They have a history behind them. So I went looking for the history of the black-eyed kids. Where did this story come from? Where was the first report of this thing? And it comes from this guy, Brian Bethel, a reputed veteran journalist and columnist, who was the first one to circulate a story of these black-eyed kids. This took place in 1996 and is the earliest known encounter in the record. So, a recent development in the grand scheme. So, let's hear this guy's story, because I always like to hear the story from the guy's words. I don't like to hear it retold a million times by someone else, so I found an interview with this guy and I've clipped it up. So this is the very first story, Black-Eyed Children. And let's hear what this guy has to say in his own words about that fateful night. So play clip 1 there and we'll talk about it as we go through.
Here's the thing. It was a pretty mundane evening, and this is back in the early days of the internet with dial-up internet, and also electronic bill pay and such like that wasn't common either. So I was going analog here and taking a check to my internet provider, which was on North First in Abilene, Texas. And so I went there, and there's a used to be First Run Theater. Now it's actually for a while it was a Second Run Theater, kind of a dollar theater, and now it's being closed and renovated by a church. So that's interesting. Yeah. So I was using the light of the theater marquee. I'd driven there and was using the light of the marquee to write my check. And it was just about finished. I was going to put it in this drop slot that they had. And all of a sudden, I hear this knock on my window. And I look over, and there are these 2 boys, probably about the age of 9 to 12, and wearing pullover hoodies and jeans, really kind of nothing untoward about them immediately. One of them is sort of olive-complected skin, still a little pale, and curly hair, kind of a mousy brown. He's the guy referred to in the story as the spokesman. And then there's another kid in the back, and he is pale-skinned, freckles, red hair. They start talking. I crack the window a bit. I think, okay, they're probably going to hit me up for money. And the spokesman, as I refer to him, says, "Hey, mister, we forgot our money. We want to see the movie. but we left our money at home. Can you take us to our mom's house and we'll get our money and then we'll come right back and that'll be all we need. It's not far away. We just need a ride.
All right. Seems innocuous yet, but
yeah, it seems pretty innocuous. And this is from 1996. So, parents didn't keep their kids under lock and key then. You could run around the streets at night and, everyone wasn't worried about child predators and pedophiles and white panel vans abducting you, right? So it seems pretty normal. 2 kids knock on this guy's door. They want a ride. I'm sure that's happened innocuously, as you said, several times, many times. And this guy's there. He's paying a check, putting a check in for his internet service. And then it gets a little bit creepy. So let's play.
All right, clip 2 in just a sec. Larry says, need some chemtrails in that dome. He's making fun of the guy, just like home. Pretty good one. And Larry says, I was one once upon a time, then I learned to fight. I'm not sure if you mean a black-eyed child or a guy that lived in a dome for climate change. Anyway, either way, here we go. Clip number 2. Thanks for the comments, guys. Keep them coming.
And that sounds kind of reasonable. I mean, kids do things like that, although it's kind of strange for them to approach someone they don't know to necessarily ask this, but I mean, I'm there and available, I guess. And so, but immediately there's this fear response, this just absolute terror at the idea of even being near this pair of kids. And it's completely inexplicable. I don't understand it. I can't even begin to comprehend where it's coming from. And yet there it is, and it's palpable, and it's terrible. I just find myself absolutely in utter fear and to some degree even awe of these 2 kids, and it doesn't make any sense at all, but it's there. And so I try to rationalize this or catch my breath or whatever and say, I don't know about that. I'm just here to do this one thing and sort of leave. And I don't know where you live exactly and all that sort of thing like that. And, just kind of trying to feel this situation out because there's just something wrong with it.
There you go. So there's some kind of feeling that goes along with this. It's not just the kids. It's not just the black eyes. There's some kind of underlying fright kind of follows them. And, weird.
Yeah, there's an instinct. There's a feeling you get, like if you're being watched, if you see an animal watching you from the woods, if you see a predator looking at you, you get this feeling. And I've seen that before. I've seen wolves and coyotes, and when they're looking at that connection, that feeling, and this guy got it. So far, he's paying for his internet because this guy's a bit of a dork. And then 2 kids walk up and they say, hey, drive us home. And he thinks they probably want some change or something. So he's like, get out of here. But then he gets this feeling, this fear feeling, this predator instinct response. And he's really confused. He kind of gets befuddled. He's not sure what's going on. And then he notices something. So let's play clip 3 and talk about it.
And quick shout out, Adrian. What's up? Thanks for showing up, buddy. Here we go. Clip 3. Clip 3, we're talking about black-eyed children. And this is the original origin story. This is the first. Here we go.
And so finally, the spokesman, I guess, kind of starts to get a little irritated. He's kept going on, look, man, it's not far away, all that sort of thing. And then I could tell he's starting to get a little irritated. And then he says, and I'll always remember this, no, look, mister, we're just 2 little kids. We don't have a gun or anything. Which is not comforting. I mean, I don't know if that was meant to be comforting or threatening or what, but that is not a comforting thing for someone to say. And so at that point, this fear has just mounted to an absolute fever pitch, and I cannot understand why. And so I think, okay, we've got to apply some logic here. So I asked them, what movie are you guys planning to see? And they say, we're going to see Mortal Kombat. And so this places it in time, of course, but I had already looked at the theater marquee, and I knew that was showing. And so I asked them, okay, well, what show are you guys wanting to see? And I look up at the marquee, and I see that, it starts at 9:30, I think it was. And I look down at my clock in my car, and it's already somewhere around 9:50 or so. And so by the time I take these kids anywhere and bring them back, even in a town the size of Abilene, where you can get pretty much anywhere in 15 minutes, they're going to miss a tremendous part of this movie. I mean, there's no reason for them to even try to see it at this point.
Well, there you go. We got some inconsistencies with the story here. Mortal Kombat, that one's legit. I mean, I could see tweens trying to see that, but otherwise, if it's not playing right now, it's not playing right now, But, yeah.
Yeah, and so, again, think about this story so far. It seems perfectly normal, perfectly natural. 2 kids out at night in the 90s, so perfectly fine. They, want a favor of this nice-looking guy to drive them home. Perfectly fine. They want to see Mortal Kombat, which was a great movie. Perfectly fine. But he has this fear response. He's terrified. He's getting this instinctual feeling that something is very wrong in this situation, that something horrifying has happened, so much so that he starts trying to look at their story to see if they're lying to him. And then he notices the time on the movie, and I'm sure they noticed that as well. So there's something that doesn't quite add up. And then on top of that, there's this idle threat, this, we don't have a gun, you should let us in. That's not something a child would ever say to an adult. Maybe I would have, because I was a little shit as a kid, but I don't think most kids would do something very similar. And this is where it gets truly bizarre, so let's play clip.
Clip 4, yes? You cut out. Action.
And so, understanding that, I look over at them, and this is where I guess it all happens. And I don't understand why. I've tried to figure out why. I don't know if it was just simply breaking their gaze, or the looking away, or what happened exactly. But I look over, and I see this pair standing there, and I finally notice what's wrong. What's been tickling at the back of my brain to make me so frightened of this, and it's their eyes, and they're just black, just absolutely, totally coal black, but reflective, of course, and could actually see the theater light reflected in them.
Oh, wow.
But here's the thing, I mean, that would be extremely disturbing, okay, but it's what I saw in them, or rather what I didn't see in them, that I found to be just the thing that pushed me over the edge. Because when you look in someone's eyes, you can see kind of, and I'm going to try to not get too metaphysical here, but I mean, you can see the thing inside of them that animates them and gives them life and light beside, under those eyes and whatnot. And I looked into the eyes of these kids, and I couldn't see anything. It was like looking into a void. It was like a fragment of space without any stars. And there was nothing in there. There was absolutely no light reflected back at all.
There you go. If you guys know what that looks like, if you've ever seen like a darkness that's beyond darkness, or in darkness, you can still see fragments of light, even in almost pitch darkness. The human eye can pick up shadows within shadows, but looking into a darkness so deep that nothing reflects, nothing shows. Have you guys ever seen that? You guys familiar with that? I've seen something like that, and it scared the hell out of me. But it wasn't a kid with eyes, with black eyes. But if you know what I'm talking about, please give us a call. We want to hear from you. 702-957-1037. I've put up a poll, and the question is, are black-eyed children real? Answer 1, yes, definitely demonic. Answer 2, nah, stupid marketing. Go ahead and take the poll, please, and we'll read the results here shortly. We've got a dead heat at the moment, but we're going to continue. So if you guys don't really believe in this, hang around for a little bit, because you might be surprised. Some of the stories here are terrifying. So we're going to continue with this one, but what else you got there, Frank, before we play the next clip?
Yeah, so he sees these black eyes, and then he kind of snaps out of it. So again, he was dulling of his senses, and then when he looks over to the theater to see what time the show was playing, when he looks back, that kind of snaps him out of this, and he sees what he wasn't seeing before, which is their pitched black eyes. Now, again, so far, aside from the eyes and this feeling of fear, perfectly normal situation. So what does he do next? Again, I think what he does next is perfectly normal in context of the story. So,
all right, well, clip number 5. Here we go. Action.
So at that point, I just go into a complete panic, and I know that my intuition has been serving me, and I feel immediate fight or flight response, and I have to get out of there. I have to get away from them. And so I tell them, look, I'm sorry. I just remembered something. I can't do it. I hope you guys find a ride. Really sorry about this, kind of stammering and all that sort of thing. And I know at this point that I'm not hiding anything at that point. And so I roll up the window as fast as I can, and about the time I get it rolled up, the spokesman, keeping in mind that the kid in the back never says anything throughout this entire encounter, starts slamming on the window, just absolutely beating on it. And he is furious. Yeah, I can tell that he is just absolutely furious. And the kid in the back actually has this "what the hell is going on" kind of expression. And, it's like, this is not the way this is supposed to go, almost is the way I've interpreted it. But the kid in the front just absolutely starts hammering on the window. I will never forget this. This is burned into my brain forever, what he says. And he says, "Mister, we can't come inside your car unless you tell us it's okay. Let us in." And at that point, I'm just gone. Okay. I throw the car into reverse. I get out of there as quickly as I can. Before I get out onto the street, I steal a glance into my rearview mirror, and they're gone. They're just absolutely gone.
As in, they vanished? Gone? Where did they go? Is this real? What do you guys think? Are you buying this? Are we buying this? What is this? What's going on here? So we got kids with black eyes. We start out really nice, and they just want in. They just want help. The guy hesitates because he gets the fight or flight response. He's terrified, and he does not understand why. A little while later, he notices they have black, coal black, darker than coal black eyes. And then it goes to hell in a handbasket. He freaks out. They freak out. They start pounding on the window. "We can't come in until you let us in." I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this legit? Give us a call. We want to hear. 702-957-1037, or click the Discord link. We're streaming on Little Green Men and YouTube, and we're also on Twitch. If anybody's out there on Twitch watching, we have no audience on Twitch, so I'm going to say for now, go to hell, you Twitchers. But otherwise, if you're watching on Twitch, then cool. But otherwise, okay. What do you guys think? Let us know. Please give us a call. We want to talk about this. Or we got the poll. We got some more people taking the poll, which is good. And we got this guy. This was the first documented modern journalist talking about this stuff. So, is it real? Is this not real? All right. Larry says alien hybrids trying to assimilate. Seem to have some buzzwords to break the ice. Maybe like we don't have a gun. Are those good buzzwords to break the ice? I don't know. I don't make friends that way. I usually tell them I have a gun. That's how I make friends. Oh, geez. What do you think, Frank? Where are we at here?
Yeah, so a few elements here in terms of what they are. They have this commonality with the vampire, that they can't cross the threshold of your house unless you let them in. They also have the commonality with the aliens, with these gray aliens, the dark black eyes. That's something they're always described as having, is pitch dark black eyes. As well, you could think of them as men in black, with the old-timey clothing they wear and these old suits and these the hypnotic sense you get around them, the sense of fear that immediately springs up. So who knows what these are? And again, this is the very first story. This is what started the entire phenomenon. This guy trying to pay his internet bill, and these kids show up and they have pitch black eyes. Now, let's hear from him. What does he think they are? Because he saw them first, so he gets first claims here. So, and then we'll talk about it.
All I can tell you is that I believe that they were A, not human, and B, of malevolent intent, and not human to such a degree as to somehow, it seemed to me, subtly warp reality around them. Kind of like the way that, a black hole kind of warps things around it in a way. I mean, they seem to kind of have this almost... I don't know. Here words kind of fail, I guess. I've been asked before if I've experienced any other anomalous feelings when I was around them, and there was kind of this sense of almost time slowing a little bit. I didn't hear traffic. I didn't hear other sounds that I would expect to hear in the background. It was sort of like everything just sort of zeroed in on this pair. And I guess if I had to say where I lean, I don't really lean toward the alien explanation. I tend to lean toward some sort of extra-dimensional, ultra-terrestrial, perhaps, kind of entity, I guess would be the terminologies. But beyond that, I'm as stymied as anyone. I've heard all kinds of folklore and all kinds of things like that could possibly enter into the mixture, but the most honest answer is simply, I still don't know.
There you go. He still doesn't know. Do you guys know? Has anybody out there ever seen an actual black-eyed child? Also known as black-eyed kids, BEK. That's how you might find them abbreviated if you want to look it up. But what do you think? Is this legit? Is this legit? We got a poll up. Are black-eyed children real? Yes. Definitely demonic. Or nah. Stupid Halloween marketing. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? This is live. 702-957-1037. The date is October 25th, 2018. We are live. So if you want to be part of the show, you know what to do. Click the Discord link. Call in. You can tell us. You can... whatever. You can say hi. You can give us feedback on the show. You can talk about black-eyed children. You can talk about other scary topics. What do you think? What do you think? Is this real? Are these real? I don't know.
So normally I would say that anything invented in recent history is a marketing ploy. It's a plea for attention. It's an attempt to sell something, right? That's what Slenderman came from. Slenderman came from attempting to make something viral, right? That was the purpose of it. And it ultimately commercially succeeded with the games and the comics and the movies and whatnot. But this here, normally I would discount it, but this is just a guy, and his story lines up. You know, it makes perfect sense. Something we all did back in the day. You got to drop a check off to get your internet fix. And it's so simple. It's so innocuous. He just sees these kids. He gets this creepy feeling, and then he sees they have pitch black eyes. And when he notices that, they freak out, and he hightails it out of there. So a very simple story, very believable in my opinion. I did go back into the history, into the Bible, into myth and legend, and I really couldn't find anything of a similar nature. I couldn't find these things being described thousands of years ago. But maybe this is a new phenomenon. Maybe this is something emerging in our culture today. I don't know. I believe it, though. Personally, hearing this guy talk, I kind of believe.
Okay, I did find one account from earlier. That's what I found. Let's go through that real quick. What do you guys think? Black-eyed children. Real? Not real? Please leave some comments. Give us a call. We want to talk about this. We want to square this up. We want to make sure that the black-eyed children themselves may not be trying to get into your house tonight or get in to your car tomorrow. It's important to me that you're okay. So let's go into some other stories. Anything else on this one, Frank? I got an old story to read. This one dates to 1950. Anything else there, Frank?
Yeah, that's it for this one, but I'm excited to hear this story because in my research I couldn't find anything predating this. So,
all right, let's do it. This is reported by Ranker.com, written by an author named Lyra Radford. I think I'm saying that right. Okay, so here we go. This is so I don't know where this source came from. There's my source. We'll link that per usual. If you want to find it, it'll be on minds.com/troubledmindsradio, or you can go to troubledminds.org and find our show notes and follow up on the information that we got. But here we go. This is the one, 1950. One of the earliest recorded sightings of black-eyed children was back in 1950. A 16-year-old named Harold was strolling up the street to his Virginia home when he noticed a boy leaning on a nearby fence. Harold was a bit startled. He paused and said hello, but received no response. He turned to leave. Then the mysterious boy finally spoke. "I want to go to your house. You're going to walk me up to your house." That was when Harold noticed the boy's eyes. They were pitch black. All his instincts screamed, "Run." Yet he just stood there. Then, as if reading Harold's mind, the boy said, "Now, don't you run away from me. You're going to walk me up to your house." That was enough to spring Harold into action. He booked it out of there. He claimed he heard the devil child let out the scream of a bobcat, but he wasn't willing to turn around to be sure. The account goes on to reveal Harold's parents actually believed his tale, and his father went out with his gun in hand. Can we get the drawer sound, Frank? Looking. Get the gun, there we go. His father went out with a gun in hand looking for what they believed was a devil. The black-eyed child was gone, but Harold's mother still took him to the local priest to be sure her son would remain safe. There you go. There's an older one. What do you think, Frank? What do you think? Is that a good tale? Is that not a good tale?
So is there interesting? So we had a YouTube comment here. I like how all the black-eyed kids stories are told in a way that someone wrote a story and didn't experience it themselves. So it's told in the tone of a story rather than the tone of a personal experience. And to me, that seemed like the tone of a story. Definitely creepy, definitely scary. Was there kind of like a newspaper clipping where that was taken from, or was that just submitted to this website? Was there any chain of custody?
Not that I'm aware of. So these actual... Oh, hold on. Let me see if there's a link here, actually. Well, I'll put this up. We'll put this up. We will put this up, and we can look at this together. Okay, one moment. One moment. All right, make sure we're square. Everything looks good. Yeah, so this is from 1950, the first black-eyed children story that we can actually verify here. So this is from, here we go, put up again on ranker.com. It's creepy stories about the black-eyed children. And so let me see if there's a link in here. 1950. Okay, there we go. So there is a link. I'm going to click it. I've never clicked this link, so if porn comes up, I apologize. Of course it's not, but it was a bad joke. I thought it was funny, though. Here we go. There we go. Clicking the link. Oh, it's from UFO Digest. Okay, so that's where the link came from. So there we go. There we go. So it's here. I haven't had a chance to look at this because I just looked at the original article, but it is sourced. I'll drop this in for Frank if he wants to take a look real quick. And what do you guys think? What do you guys think? We got a comment here from Larry. Says the X-Files, the black oil. It only needs a host to possess. Yeah, I've seen that too. I like the X-Files. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. What do you guys think? Here's the thing, though. So, with black-eyed children in particular, and anything, so this is kind of like a modern, scary meme story. What do you think? Just because it's modern, do we discount this? I think when we can trace it back to a modern origin, kind of like Slender Man, it's easy to discount, in my opinion. Like Frank rolls his eyes when we talk about Slender Man. I'm not so sure. Those girls that stabbed their friend did it for Slender Man. And so whether he's real or not, it still resulted in 19 stab wounds to their friend. I don't know. I think no matter how you measure that up, it still resonates to me as some sort of real, some sort of haunting. Is it possible? Again, we did an episode where we talked about this. Is the internet haunted? Is it possible to hear a story like this? And is it possible to go commit some kind of violence, some kind of treason to humanity? I don't know. What do you think? We talked a little bit about it, and I don't know. I'm convinced. I'm convinced that demons have kind of turned into algorithms. Demons have kind of become digital. And if you can say that, this is all in your mind, well, don't we exchange ideas through the internet? Through the digital world? I don't know. I don't know. Come on, Frank. Tell me I'm full of it. I don't know. It scares the hell out of me. If people are actually pushed to commit real actions based on these, quote, fictional characters, then how fictional are they? Is that not a good argument?
Yeah, definitely. So we'll skip ahead a little bit here as a possible explanation for what these things are. I was looking into this, and I wanted the historical perspective. So the closest thing I could find is this word tulpa. Now, what is a tulpa? This is pretty interesting. The word tulpa comes from the Tibetan phrase to construct, or to build or create. So what is this thing? This is an entity created in the mind, acting independently of and parallel to your unconsciousness. So they are able to think, they have their own free will, emotions, and memories. In short, it's like a sentient person living in your head, separate from you. And what you do to create these things is you start by imagining this person. You give them a personality, you give them feelings, you give them thoughts, you give them their own particular way of speaking, and you continue to think on this and believe that it's real, believe that it can be sentient. And eventually, it grows into a sentient creature and can act independently of you. And so this is a real thing. People experience making these tulpas, making these adult imaginary friends, essentially. And how this ties into this story, I think, is that here we have belief creating something. People think so much on a topic that they create something out of it. It becomes real to them. And you have to wonder if more and more people start believing in this imaginary creation, maybe it'll become real to the masses at large. So religion, for example, if everyone 1,000 years ago believed in the same thing, maybe religion was real. Maybe all this stuff did happen because of belief. Belief fueled the thing. Belief fueled this thing to exist. So things like the Slender Man, as you're going back to, and I think this ties into what you were saying, is yes, it started out as a stupid story, but by so many people believing in it and obsessing it and hyping it up, it became true to them and perhaps to the world at large. So we've seen this kind of before, where when you start to believe in ghosts, you either create them potentially or somehow allow them to access you. Same thing with aliens. If you believe in them, you capture their attention and they come to you. So all this stuff could be the tulpa idea, which goes back way, way, way back in time. This phenomena is being described, where if you start to believe in something, either you create it or it accesses you somehow. So this original guy who started the Black-Eyed Kids story, maybe he created something, putting it out there. And now the people that are seeing it, they're seeing something real because of all that belief that's being focused in on. There's a potential explanation.
Yeah, I think this kind of puts us in line with the ancient golem, where it's an entity created by humans. Like a golem is actually made from clay or mud or sand, but it is able to be inhabited by a human spirit or like a familiar spirit. So is this something like we talked about, and we talked about a few episodes ago, we talked about spells, ancient spells, and are they still relevant? Do they still work? Has the language changed? Have the ingredients changed where we've got GMOs in the frankincense? If you follow me, where it doesn't work anymore. Or do these spells still exist? Do these entities and demons still exist? And we just have to access them, conjure them, call them in a different way. I don't know. It terrifies me to think that maybe just us talking about this right now could maybe put it into your brain and somehow, some way, bring it into your own consciousness. And you create this for yourself. I don't know. Terrifying. Terrifying. What do you guys think? What do you think? We got the poll up here. We got are black-eyed children real? Yes, definitely demonic. Nah, stupid marketing. We got a lot of good stories. I got more stories. What are we gonna do here, Frank? We got
Let me just follow up on that story from the 1950s. That came from a book where the author actually went to this rural town in Virginia, and he talked to a family, and this family had been passing the story down from earlier in the generations. And so I think he talked to someone in that family, and that's where he got it from. So it wasn't a made-up story. It wasn't someone that just wrote it as a joke and put it up to get some clicks. This actually was sourced from this family in a rural town.
Well, there we go. So if we have some actual chain of custody there, if any of that is accurate, then we've got older stories of children with black eyes. There we go. Larry says thought forms? Maybe. I think that's what I'm getting at, right? So us talking about this is it was created, just like Slender Man. Slender Man was created by somebody, okay? They try and draw parallels to the Tall Man, which was a demon. Was that from it was Ireland? United Kingdom? I can't quite recall. You remember there, Frank? I don't remember.
Yeah, I believe so. There's the stories of the tall people, and you see them, and suddenly you'll be struck by an illness or a tragedy after you see them walking off.
Right. So even though these things have a modern creation through the internet, through stories written, through crowdsourced horrors, or like horror stories, like we're trying to scare people. We're not. Maybe we are, but the people that wrote these are definitely trying to scare people. So is that legit? Is that one of those things? So once you write a scary story, okay, and it scares the piss out of somebody that reads it, okay, like 100 years from now, and they freak themselves out so much that they conjure these terrible things in their own life, what do you think? Is that possible? Is it possible to transfer demons through the written word? Is it possible? Talking about it, to bring these demons into your life. I don't know. We're talking about them. I'm not trying to conjure them for me or for anybody else, because personally, I think demons probably aren't cool to hang out with. Frank can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like to me that's the thing. that's what I prefer. But I don't know. What do you think? We got more stories. Let's do some more stories. What do you got there, Frank? Anything else? I got a bunch here.
Yeah, I got another story here. So this is a story about a time that someone actually let one of these things inside. So again, the motif here is that these things show up You get this creepy, terrified feeling. They demand to be let inside the car, let inside the house, and eventually the victim, realizes, no, something's wrong here, and they see the black eyes and they hightail it out of there as fast as possible. So this is a story where someone actually let a couple of these things inside the house, and the consequences of doing so. So it's a little bit long here. I'll try to paraphrase where I can, but there's also some evidence here, so some actual physical evidence of these negative consequences occurring. So it could be attributed, could be a coincidence, but we'll get to that. So this lady writes, I live in a town outside in rural Vermont. It's a tight-knit community where everyone knows everyone else, and they don't lock the doors at night. So a little over a year ago, I woke up. I heard a loud banging at my door. We lived with my husband and I in a small home on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. So it was in the middle of the night. There was a snowstorm, and nearby hills get very slippery in the snow. So I thought someone may have been in an accident and broken down. So makes sense so far. When I looked at the window, I couldn't see anyone. There was snow everywhere. Our front door was obscured from the windows, but I could see that someone was standing there. I wasn't sure what to think, so I woke my husband up to feel safer. When I was telling him what was going on, the banging on the door started again, and my husband went to answer it. When he opened the door, there were two children standing in the snow looking towards the ground, a boy and a girl no more than 8 years old. They were dressed strangely and had odd haircuts. The girl's hair was very long and straight, and the boys had a dated haircut that looked almost like a bowl cut. They weren't dressed for winter, and my first thought was that they must have been Mennonite children, because there's a local Mennonite community. So thinking about this, they looked at each other, and the husband said, "What do I do?" And so they let these kids in, and all they did is, "Our parents will be here soon. Our parents will be here soon." So this was around 2 o'clock in the morning, and they brought them inside. I went into the kitchen to make them some hot cocoa while my husband took them into the living room. While I was fixing the kettle, I could hear my husband talking to the kids. He was asking if they were okay, where they came from, how far they walked, and so on and so forth. But they always answered, "Our parents will be here soon." And they spoke in a very sing-songy voice. Didn't seem to be afraid to be in a stranger's house. So I noticed that this lady noticed that her cats were terrified. Their hair was standing on end. They were slinking out of the room where these children were. And when this lady tried to pet one of her cats, it actually hissed at her, started growling, and backed up and ran into a different room entirely. So she walks back into the room with the kids and the husband, and the husband is holding his head in his hands. She asked, "What's wrong?" And he said he felt very heavy and very dizzy all of a sudden. So she turned back to the children to give them their cocoa, but gasped in surprise because she saw that they had giant black eyes, just like we've heard before. So then these children saw that she was terrified, so they stood up and asked if they could use the bathroom. She tried to be composed as possible and showed them to the bathroom. They went in together, and she hurried back to her husband to see if he had seen the same thing, if they have their black eyes. And he said he had seen them too, and it looked like they were badly bruised after a car accident. We were in the middle of talking about whose children they might have been when my husband's nose started to bleed. He never had nosebleeds as long as I'd known him. I just knew inside myself that this had something to do with the kids. So the power went out. I heard my husband yell my name from the living room and started to walk back towards where he was. The two children were standing at the end of the hallway. They weren't moving. They just stood there in the dark. After what felt like forever, the boy said, "Our parents are here." So the parents finally arrived, and they both walked to the door, opened it, leaving it wide open, and walked out into the snow. My husband jumped up to close it. It almost fell over. We looked out the window and saw by a black car idling at the end of our driveway. They looked like they were wearing black-colored suits and were very tall, at least 6 feet. When my husband waved at them, they just stared at us, got in the car, and drove away. So then the power came on about half an hour later, and here's the consequences. All the cats went missing. They ran away. Some of them died. They had been vomiting The husband had nosebleeds on a regular occasion, and the doctor said it was dry nasal passages. And then he was later diagnosed with skin cancer, like he'd been using a tanning bed too often. So there you go. They let these things in. What they said is, we're waiting for our parents, and they did something to this husband and the cats died. And the husband got very sick. He got skin cancer. And there you go. What do you think?
And don't forget, the men in black showed up to pick them up out front.
Yeah, that's a good point, too. I kind of glossed over that, but that's what these things looked like, is men in black. Picking up same black sedan, same black suits, same everything. Men in black picking up their black-eyed kids. Here we go.
Whoa. All right, what do you guys think? We got the poll going. Are black-eyed children real? Answers, yes, definitely demonic. Nah, stupid marketing. What do you guys think? If you want to be on the show, talk about black-eyed children or anything Halloween scary-ish. If you had something happen to you, we want to hear about it. 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link in the Little Green Men stream. We'll put you on Discord with Mike and Frank, and we'll be nice to you. We'll ask you about the demons, and the spirits, and the things, all the scary things that have happened to you. Are you one of those people that are sensitive to these things? Apparently it doesn't happen to everybody, but there are some people, from what I hear, that cannot get the spirits out of their head. They just can't do it. They're predisposed, let's say. They are an open book, an antenna from the netherworld. Is that you? If so, please give us a call. We'd love to hear about it. We've got more stories about black-eyed children, and we're looking into this. We're looking into some of the things that people talk about, some of the modern scary stories. We've talked about Slender Man. We've talked about the Blue Whale Challenge, which don't look that up, promise me. And we've talked about all kinds of crazy, scary things that are become memes, become scary thoughts, become digital demons in the modern world. We've created these things. So, the question is, how real are they? That's the question. How real is this? Do you guys buy this? Are you terrified that kids are going to walk up to your car in the middle of the night or knock on your door at 3 a.m. and want to be let in? As people, as decent people, we are programmed, predisposed. I go back to that word intentionally, but we are predisposed to help children in need. But what about these children? Do we make exceptions? I don't know. That's a good question. I think that's what we're talking about. That's the crux of the matter here. Again, what do you guys think? 702-957-1037. Please call. We'd love to hear what you think about black-eyed children and Halloween and scary things, spirits, witchcraft, all the things that make objects go bump in the night. There we go. So I got a story here. Any more on that one, Frank? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, just so far, so we've heard 3 stories. The first seemed pretty believable. Again, one of the first accounts, this guy seemed pretty normal. The second was actually backed up through some research, and it was a family story that went back quite some time. And this third story, again, there's physical evidence available where the husband had skin cancer and the cats passed away. So, I don't know. I originally wasn't believing in this, but kind of feeling that there might be something here. So let's hear this next story and we'll talk.
Okay, here we go. Jim Stills enjoyed an evening cigar on his front porch every evening. That sets us up the right way. Morning's less scary. All right. It was the best way to wind down after a long day. Until one evening, Jim noticed a boy with an awkward walk, stiffly making his way down the street. Jim felt uneasy about the boy's presence. He wasn't sure why, but he was glad to see him go. Jim's relief was only temporary. The boy was back on the next night and each subsequent night, sometimes well into the wee hours of the morning, just roaming the street like some stiff, freaky robot. It got to the point where Jim decided to forfeit his nightly cigars and remain inside. After a while, Jim forgot about the strange boy. Then one night, he stepped outside his front door, only to find the boy standing directly in front of him. His eyes were impossible. Just two liquid black pools staring at him emotionlessly. He asked to be allowed inside Jim's house. Jim dashed back inside and slammed his door shut and locked every lock. Jim kept an eye out for the boy peeking out his window from time to time in the evenings, but he never saw him again. There we go. There's a short one, intentionally short, but again, these accounts keep coming. More people than just the original, the 1950 story that apparently dates back prior. What was that first one there, Frank, that you started with? What was the date on that? It was 90s, right?
1996.
96. So we've got 1950s and prior. We've got 96. We've got other accounts through the modern time. And maybe hints at the time in the past. Yeah, so there you go. We're talking about black-eyed children, guys. 702-957-1037. It is October 25th, 2018. If you're listening tonight, we'd love to hear from you. What do you think? Are these things real? Is this marketing? Are we wasting our time here? Are we just drumming up black-eyed kids' costumes for Halloween? Or are these demons that might knock on your door? Love to hear about it. 702-957-1037. We have more stories to do, so we're reading comments. So if you got comments, leave them on Facebook, leave them on YouTube. We're reading them there as well. And we're going to keep on trucking with the stories. So if you guys got comments or you want to call in and tell us we're full of crap and this is a bunch of BS and whatever. Larry says, intergalactic bug needs sugar water. I don't even know what that means, man. If that's you that needs it, please get it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. All right. So good luck with the sugar water. But what do you think, Frank? You got more stories there? I got more. I got tons more. I got enough to fill 5 hours. So
yeah. So we heard a story from the far past. Let's hear a story from the future. You know, the technological age, the age of YouTube, age of videos, right? So that's what we want. We want a video of one of these things. We want a picture of one of these things. So there's this YouTube channel, Fantastic Daily, and the channel is dedicated to hunting for black-eyed kids. And this guy tries to track them down. He chases them through the woods. He's had them break into his house, all sorts of different things. And the reason this all started is when he was doing his research into these black-eyed kids, he found this mysterious sound signal that apparently can attract them. So this guy, U.S. man, who blurs his identity in his investigative videos, claims to have caught one of these black-eyed children on video in his home. So he says here, I was finally able to isolate a low-frequency signal that appeared in the background of my evidence. I played this frequency every night for a week, eventually succeeding in my efforts to lure a black-eyed kid into my camera trap. Now, he uploaded this video to YouTube, and the investigator said that he tried to lure the kids to his home by playing this noise. He had a camera running at the same time every night in his property over several nights. On the 5th night, he claims to have captured footage showing a being standing on his porch, and it looks to be a black. So I think if we pull that link up I gave you, there's a video of this, and let's play it. There is some sound, so let it speak for itself, and we'll talk.
All right, here we go. So we've got an actual paranormal investigator catches black-eyed kid on camera. I'll show you the actual article, and then we'll play the video here. So this is reported by the Sunday Express, which is, again, one of those British things. But let's see. Let's do the Kardashian test and scroll down. Look on the right side. No Kardashians? All right. Good enough for me. Good enough for me. Vetted. Troubled minds vetted, says Michael Strange. All right, here we go. Here we go. We're going to play this video. We're going to play this video. Okay, so this is a paranormal investigator catches black-eyed kid on camera. Okay, sound included. Action.
I set my laptop up near my door with an open window that gives good access to the front porch. Every night, my laptop is set to record to an external hard drive, and in the morning I would review the footage from the night before. I thought of day one as a test, and I realized that the signal was maybe a little bit too soft to be heard. I boosted the signal for the second night. Whoever or whatever that is, it stood there for over an hour before disappearing.
Okay, so this guy's video, it appears that, I'll play it again as we talk about this, but it appears that he actually had a young lady standing out front, and like he said, if they were actually there for an hour or more, I think that's terrifying. They were standing outside his front door, just kind of standing there, staring inside, and eventually, now this is recordings. This is a video camera. Not this guy watching with a camera and any of that. This is an actual captured recording. And now this young lady is outside, staring inside the window. For an hour, he says, or more. And then this young lady just vanishes. You can see her in the video. She kind of turns to her right, which would be our left from the camera perspective. And as she does so, she disappears, vanishes into nothing. So, what do you think? Actual video evidence? Or is this like his stalker ex-girlfriend? What do you guys think? What do you think of this video, Frank?
Yeah, pretty strange. It looked like a young child, so probably not the ex-girlfriend. And again, derived this signal from that he was playing, this bait signal that apparently attracts them, but he said he found it doing his research in some of the background material. Well, that's an interesting thought. You know, speaking of what these things could be, well, we look at these gray aliens and we think of them as organic robots of a kind, and they have the same dark black eyes. And if these things are organic robots, maybe they're the same as the black-eyed kids, and that's why these things were attracted by the signal, right? They were responding as machinery would to this system. Again, who knows? Who really knows what's going on here? But for someone to walk up to your porch in the middle of the night and stand there listening to this sound for an hour before turning around and leaving, that's terrifying.
That's pretty scary. It reminds me of the smart home hackers that show up with a smartphone and want to break into your Wi-Fi and then just make your door open for them. Though this particular person, like you said, young looking, doesn't have anything in her hands, and she appears to be looking around, looking inside the window, looking at the front door, and these sounds being caught on surveillance is I don't know, what are they? What are those sounds? Is that electronic interference? Is that from this world or from another world? I don't know.
No, again, so he discovered this signal that apparently attracts these children, like some kind of signal that he's discovered or created, and he's playing that signal out the window.
I see.
In response to that signal, these things show up. So that's what I was saying, is if they're similar to the gray aliens in terms of them being organic robots of some kind, maybe they're responding to this signal he's playing out the window. coming towards the signal being played. Again, who knows?
Who knows? That's a good. Thank you for briefing me. I missed the important detail there. But what do you guys think? Is this real? It looked pretty real. It looked like they turned and vanished, or was that some kind of Photoshop video wizardry? What is this? What are we talking about here? We always talk about the possibility that we're being hoaxed, because that's why we do this. We do this to ask questions. We want to tell stories. We want to ask questions. We want to look into the evidence. And if you don't look at the video evidence, you're not looking at evidence at all. So here we are. Here we are talking about this stuff. What do you guys think? One more time. This is live, October 25th, 2018. If you're listening right now tonight, this is live. You can call and be on the show. Tell us what you think about black-eyed children. The poll is up. Are black-eyed children real? Yes or no? We'd love a call. 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link and Little Green Men on Facebook, streaming live. Also on YouTube and Twitch. So if you guys want to be part of the show, you know what to do. Otherwise, we got some more stories. We're going to dig into more of this and look at some more evidence, because why ask questions if you're not going to look at some of the evidence, right? All right. So we got more there, Frank, or should I do another story?
Let's hear another story about these creepy, strange.
All right. Let's see. We got tons of these. Let's do another short one. Okay. So whoever posted on YouTube was spot on. It seems like a lot of these stories are friend of friend type stories, and this is another of that type. I'll see if I can dig one up that isn't for the next one, but I'm grabbing it because it's short, and we're trying to get as many in as possible here. But here we go. This tale was posted online by a friend of the victim. It was while on a trip through Arcata, California, that this anonymous man stopped for a drink and ended up hitting it off with the attractive woman running the bar. After a bit of drinking and getting to know each other, she offered the traveler a place to stay for the night, and he drunkenly accepted. He left his car at the bar and headed back to her place. As they pulled into the front, that's when the unease crept in. He wasn't sure why, but her home creeped him out, and she started to creep him out as well. He claimed she began to seem inhuman to him. This didn't stop him from going inside and having sex with her, of course. Zing! After the woman had fallen asleep, he got up to get water. During his trek to the kitchen, he realized her house was full of children. They weren't normal children, though. They were quiet and creepy, and wandering the house aimlessly at 2 a.m. He had a horrible feeling about them even before he noticed their eyes. Completely black. All of them. There was no conversation, no attack. He was just faced with the black-eyed children and then sent off on his merry way. About a month after his strange experience, this healthy, athletic man was suddenly diagnosed with bladder cancer. He died 6 months later, believing it was those black-eyed children and their caretaker that killed him. There we go. Another one. Another cancer story.
Wow.
Huh? What do you think about that one, Frank?
Some commonalities there, right? With these, the cancer spreading when you stand in their presence, as well as the creepy demeanor of these things, not really having a personality. Once they've achieved their mission, once they're inside the house, they just kind of wait around for someone. Yeah, interesting.
There you go, another story. Commonalities, guys. We got black-eyed kids kind of showing up in random places you don't expect. People getting cancer, people dying. Are these stories made up? Is this bogus? Please give us a call, 702-957-1037. We want to know. Are black-eyed children real? Are they demons? Or is it just meh? Halloween stories to scare kids, to scare people. Actually, if you think about it, right, it's a perfect scare the older folks, right? Because you got Halloween, you got kids knocking on your door, right? It's kind of that season. tweens that age. Like it's like the Slender Man for adults, right? It kind of seems like it's the other way. It's the other way around. So I had a actual interesting interaction, but since I'm a dick, it ended up just fine. But I had somebody. This was a few years back, but I had a knock on my door, Halloween, and we were in the process of moving actually. So it was we had nothing. Half the stuff was in and out of the house, and you know, like when that's going on, it's a little tough to participate in the Halloween tradition. So I had to knock on the door. I go to the door, and in the vein of Black-Eyed Children, it was just what you'd expect. There was a young gentleman standing outside, maybe 13, 14 years old, and he was on my doorstep, and you'd expect to answer the door. So the light's out, so we're not expecting trick-or-treaters that night. It was Halloween night. So I open the door. This young man is standing there. He's wearing a hoodie. He's not dressed up for Halloween whatsoever. Right? First weird WTF. And so I'm like, you know, my brain's like, wait, what is this? What's going on here? Like, at least fake it to try and impress me, right? And, you know, kind of gave me that vibe. And I open the door. He doesn't say trick or treat. He just stands there and stares at me. And I was like, can I help you? He doesn't say anything. And so me, seeing this kid stand there, no Halloween bag, no costume, knocking on my door, Halloween night, silent. I went full old man on his ass. And I said, "You're too old to be trick-or-treating. Get the hell out of here, kid." And he did. And there we go. So there's no actual Black-Eyed Children. But yeah, it was an interesting thing with the way that shook out. I'm not sure what he was expecting. If he was checking for, because the lights were out, maybe checking for like a place to break into. I don't know. Anyway, there you go. There you go. Sorry to set that up and end it bad, but no, I didn't get possessed and I didn't get murdered. So here we are. Here we are. Dave says the person could have been inside and it was a reflection in the glass. Talking about the article from the past there. Go ahead, Frank. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say you're lucky because if someone did that, it was trick or treat, right? And if there was no treats, then there were some tricks, including kicking over garbage cans and making a mess outside. So you're lucky you didn't have me.
Well, okay, I'll consider myself lucky that he didn't break in the middle of the night and murder me. But yeah, it is odd that he was not dressed up. It was odd that he didn't say anything. It was odd that he didn't have a bag. There was a lot of odd things about it, but I'm not sure. I didn't really see his eyes, so maybe. I don't know. But he didn't ask to come in either, so there we go. It did trigger in my mind as one of these similar instances. So we got a poll up, guys. What do you think? Are Black-Eyed Children real? Yes, definitely demonic, or nah, stupid marketing. We're going to roll this one till we end. So if you haven't voted, please vote, and we'll check this out in the coming minutes here. Benjamin, thanks for showing up, buddy. He says, it looks like her mouth is moving like she's talking. He's talking about the surveillance footage. And yeah, it did. So it almost seemed like she was kind of phasing in and out, right? So of course he sped up the video because we can't watch an hour of video in 1 minute. So some of that's to be expected, but it is curious one way or the other. So, and it does look like she actually vanished off to her right. So scary stuff. Dave says, I'm glad it's almost 7 a.m. here. You're a beast, man. I don't know if you're still up or awake again. I don't know. Whatever it is, you're a beast. We're a fan. Thank you. Thanks for staying up with us. Bill says, I feel like it's so much harder to obtain proof of the paranormal than anything else. You know what? I think you're right. And I think, what do you think, Frank? You take that one.
Yeah, it is very difficult because the diversity of it, right? If you see a UFO, well, it's very easy to classify. It's something in the air. It's unidentified. If you see an alien, again, very easy to classify. And we have certain species of aliens, certain types. But a ghost, it's insubstantial. Sometimes you don't even see it. Sometimes you just hear things moving around your house or bumping in the night. It's very hard to pin them down. And the ways they do it with these EVPs and these spirit boxes doesn't lead to good proof. It doesn't lead to conclusive proof of these things. So it is very hard to nail down the paranormal in that way. And that's what's interesting about this story, is that these are very defined. They're children, they act kind of weird, and they have black eyes. And oftentimes they're associated with a fear response, as well as wearing old-timey clothes and old-fashioned haircuts. Yeah, that's what's interesting about this in terms of the paranormal, is they're very well defined in a way. I don't know, but I think you're right. It is hard to nail down paranormal entities often.
Definitely. Dave continues. He says, after 7 a.m. here, have you guys seen the BBC TV footage of the 2 Scandinavian girls being run over by lorries and getting up? I haven't. That sounds very zombie-like, though. Is that from The Walking Dead? And then he adds insomnia, and I love the show. I love insomnia, and we love that you love the show. There we go. Thank you. Thanks for staying up. Appreciate that, man. No, I haven't seen that video. Have you seen that one, Frank? The BBC TV footage of 2 Scandinavian girls being run over by lorries and getting up. I don't know what a lorry is. Is that a...
It's a truck.
It's a truck. Okay. Is that what we call lorries in what country is that? Is that Great Britain?
England.
England.
Yeah,
United
England.
Kingdom. The Great United Kingdom. Yes. He's going to send the link. Okay, we'll check it out. Yeah, so what do you guys think? Here we go. So we're talking about black-eyed children. We've got the poll up. Are they real or are they not? Do you buy any of these stories? We saw some footage, some actual footage. Do we have any more evidence there, Frank, of footage or anything else we can squeeze into this before we end? We got about 10 minutes left.
No more, again, conclusive proof. It's hard to come by, because I think that anyone who lets these things in, either they're dead or they don't want to talk about it. So, again, the stories of conclusive proof are few and far between with the cancer and whatnot. Most times they see these things and they get this instinct that they shouldn't be talking to them, and they don't let them in. They keep them away. They shut their doors, or they drive away in their car. So, again, that speaks to why there's so little proof available. In the very nature of the story itself. But yeah, not too much more. It's one of these things where once you have it, you'll have it. But until then, all we can do is educate ourselves on the topic and know what to look for, know the signs, these black eyes, this creepy demeanor, this sense of dread and feeling of fear. And all we can do is keep our
absolutely. You know, the terrifying thing is these are children and they're asking for help typically. so you know what I mean? Like it puts it in the back of your mind, right? If you're superstitious or you think this is real and they are demonic, and I don't know, do we have any actual cases? I couldn't find any of actual murders regarding this. I mean, because they're dead, you know, dead men tell no tales type of thing. But I don't know. Did you find anything there, Frank, in the research that we've got dead bodies and black children are to blame?
I couldn't find anything like that. There was no good evidence one way or the other, unfortunately. Again, because I think you're right. That speaks to it. Dead men tell no tales. So if people are dying as a result of this, who knows? You'd never be alive to speak.
Okay, true. I got another one I can read real quick, unless you want to squeeze one in. What do you think?
Yeah, go for it. Let's hear another one, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. At 6'7" and 260 pounds, the United States Marine was his own looming and intimidating force of nature. But that didn't stop a black-eyed kid from testing him. He was in the barracks of the Texas base where he lived and settling in for the night when he heard a sharp knock on the door. Assuming it was his neighbor, the Marine finally made his way to the door. Standing outside was a boy around 17 years old. The Marine asked him what was up, and almost hungrily, the boy asked to be let in to use the phone. Nothing but sleep and peace on his mind, the Marine said no, and directed him to the service building across the parking lot and closed the door. A knock on the door again. Irritated, the Marine went to the window, intending to yell at him, but was just looking at the thin, gaunt kid that gave him the creeps. And that's when he noticed his eyes. They were black as coal. Once again, the child asked to be let in, with a creepy, predatory smile. Still determined to assert his authority, the Marine ignored his fear. "I'm going to tell you one more time before I kick your ass. to get lost. He turned momentarily to grab his phone, and by the time he turned around, the creature, in the form of a child, was gone. He couldn't shake the feeling that he'd seen him before, that all of this was familiar. Then it hit him. He had watched his brother have a similar interaction once. 2 years earlier, while still in high school and living in Pennsylvania, he worked the night shift at a gas station. One night, while having a smoke out front with his brother, they saw some guy walking across 4 lanes towards them. His brother asked him if he needed anything, and it was the same request. He wanted to use a phone. The brother said the phone was back by the register, and no one was allowed to use it. The brothers went inside, but the strange kid didn't take no for an answer. He stood in front of the shop, just knocking, until his brother chased him off with a bat. When he came back, he said the kid was pale and had black eyes. It was the same kid. To some, the fact that the Marine didn't recognize the black-eyed kid immediately implies these things might be able to scramble people's minds, or cloak their memories, or at least temporarily cloak their appearance. There we go. There we go. What do you think? What do you think? Scary? More he said, she said? What are we talking about here? Black-eyed kids?
Yeah, of all the stories we've heard tonight, I don't believe that one. Because again, it was going back to this guy who commented on YouTube. That was told in the perspective of a story. It was told in third person, right? It wasn't a personal experience. It wasn't. That was clearly written up as a story. So I'm not buying that one. And that's an issue with this. When sifting through all these things, you'll find these stories that are clearly stories, but you don't know. Maybe someone just took the time to polish it up and write it properly. Who knows?
Yeah. Exactly. All right, I got the guy. Dave sent the video here of the two crazy women get hit by the lorry. So we're gonna play that. And Brittany, what's up? Thanks for showing up. Shout out to Brittany. You're late, but we're finishing up, and don't worry because we'll have an archive for you. You can find it here on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll have it in SoundCloud format if you want to listen audio only, or all of the great places. What was it? Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, whatever you like. We're probably there. We're on, what is that one called? TuneIn Radio? You name it. If you search Troubled Minds, you'll find us. Thanks for showing up, Brittany. All right, so we're going to play this this video here, put up by Dave, who was watching the show. Asked us if we saw this creepy zombie-like thing. And I'm going to link one for Frank so he can watch it, and I'll play this sucker. It's a long video, so I'm going to try and skip to find the good part, but there you go. That one's for you, Frank. All right, let's watch this sucker. Let's watch this. Let's see what happens here. Apparently, 2 young girls get hit by a truck, and then they just get up. All right, so let's see.
And take on board something like that. You can be trained to then start dealing with it, but the actual shock is...
All right, here we go. Let's cut to the middle here. Oh, there we go.
Strength was absolutely phenomenal.
Looks like they're running across the street.
The people with similar strength are those people that have been on drugs or
drugs.
Alcohol.
Stay! Stay there! Calm down! Calm down! Calm down! Calm down! Calm down! Calm down!
Okay, looks like this is after they got hit and got up and started running around. All right, let's go. Let's cut to the beginning here. All right.
I turned at that point to start running, and I warned vehicles behind.
So I'm not sure this is the actual footage of this. Is this? It seems like a documentary. All right.
The red one's got knocked down by the red car over there. I've got an ambulance en route for her. She seems all right, but I'm not a doctor. She has been knocked down.
Is she the one that's been...
I'm gonna mute and let this play. Oh, there we go. Okay, so somebody gets up and starts running. So they were hit by a truck. We get one of them literally get out and run into the middle of the street and get hit again, it looks like. What the hell? And they get up and run later. So, yeah, I don't know. This is new. This is new to me. We didn't get a chance to vet this video, but what the hell? Did you watch this, Frank? You watching this?
Yeah, pretty strange. I think they don't have black guys, so I think they found them later. They survived. So I'm not sure what to make.
Same here. Thank you for the contribution there, Dave. And one more time, we're doing this. So this is live, October 25th, 2018. If you're listening right now, we're recording live. If you want to be part of the show, we got a couple minutes left, 702-957-1037. We got the poll up, Are Black-Eyed Children Real? We've been through several stories. We've been through some actual video surveillance footage of a possible black-eyed child standing outside a residence. What do you guys think? Is this real? Is this enough to creep you out when you get like that, the guy like I described that kind of knocks on your door that's a little bit too old to be actually out for Halloween? He's wearing no costume, doesn't have any kind of bag for candy. What do you think? Will it creep you out?
So I think what Dave is maybe saying with his video is that these black-eyed children, they're super high on drugs. They're smoking that dank Martian Kush, and their pupils are massively dilated. Their pupils are so dilated, they're completely black, and they wander into traffic and get run over by trucks and cars.
Okay, maybe. Dave, he's bringing it all around. He's zipping this up for us. Okay, I can buy that. But there you go. So this is a question, and I think the final question. Now we've sprinkled this in some of our previous episodes, and I think we'll touch on this in the future as well. Do you guys think demons can be created by people? Do you think that we can pass them on from person to person through simply talking about them? Through simply speaking the name of a demon? Does it conjure them? Is it possible to send these entities through the internet? If you're watching tonight, we didn't name any demons because I don't like to do that. I think it's bad luck. Call me superstitious, but I don't want to send Demon X to you. But is it possible? Do you think that's a thing, Frank? Is it like voodoo and like a magic from the void type of thing? Witchcraft? Is it possible?
Yeah. This is, I think, this tulpa, this ancient Tibetan creature where you create it by thinking about it. You believe in it so much that it becomes real, and you tell your friends, you tell your neighbors, they start believing in it too, and before you know it, your belief and your intent have created something that previously didn't exist. So that's one possible explanation for these things. And there's a good wealth of knowledge about it. These tulpas, these
golems, I think it's called a homunculus. That sort of thing, right? Like things we create and bring the bad juju to ourselves, to our consciousness, to the people around us, to our households. We talked about Ouija boards. We talked about being open to these things, and here we are again, kind of dancing around the same topic. It is close to Halloween, so everybody be safe out there. You never know. All right, so we got the poll. The poll was, Are Black-Eyed Children Real? We got 29%. Actually, I'm going to let Frank guess this. 29% is what?
False.
Okay, no, 29% is yes, definitely demonic, and stupid marketing got 71%. So it seems like the people that came in through the chat tonight, the people that were watching, took a actual poll, put in an answer. We got 71% said no way, stupid marketing, and then 29% said yep, demonic stuff and scary stuff. That surprise you? That's the other way there, Frank?
Yeah, not really, actually. Thinking about it, I personally also think a very similar way, because I really do believe in things that have a history to them, like the aliens and the UFOs. You'll see those in hieroglyphs, and you'll see those in ancient Native American stories, and you'll see these things. They've been with us for such a long time. And things like Slender Man, things like Black-Eyed Children, where someone comes up with a story in the recent past, I don't buy it. I find it very hard to believe. This one is much more believable than Slender Man because, again, the stories, there's some evidence, there's a little bit of history, not too much. But I find these more hard to believe, unless there's, someone writing about it 2,000 years ago. I tend to
Right, these spiritual things. If you're a spirit, right, you either you stay or you go. And if you stay, there's been, we talked about spirits kind of hanging around for hundreds or thousands of years. So I'm with Frank a little bit. If we don't have some kind of history here to back this up, let's call me skeptical. Again, agnostic here until I see more information, more proof, more data to parse. But I think at this point, I'm Black-eyed kids agnostic. I say, let's see. Let's wait and see what happens. Nobody's been stabbed yet, and I'm not advocating for people being stabbed. Okay, be careful with that. All right, so with that, we're winding this down. So if you want to squeeze in a comment, we'll do that. Otherwise, here we go. We're gonna outro this. Anything to add, Frank, before I start this music?
Yeah. So just in terms of what these things could be, Men in Black, with their creepy dress and this sense of hypnotism around them. Aliens responding to this signal, this robotic signal, or thought forms, tulpas, golems, things that we create with our intent. Or perhaps the most interesting thing, they're just kids that are super stoned. So
you had to do it. You had to add this super stoned kids. Hey kids, if you're listening out there, don't do drugs, at least till you're of legal age, etc. We don't advocate that, and we definitely don't advocate black-eyed children, so don't turn into one of those. But what do you guys think? Black-eyed children? We're gonna do more of these. We got one more show on Sunday for before Halloween, so we're gonna squeeze in something scary, hopefully something really scary, and then we'll get back to regularly scheduled programming. Talk about aliens. We're gonna talk about conspiracy theory. Oh, you know what? We didn't talk about the bombs tonight. We should have done that. We're out of time, but we'll do that for the next one. We'll talk about the bombs. Hopefully we'll have some stuff develop between now and then, as in nothing's exploding, and nothing did explode, and I'm pretty sure nothing's going to explode. So with that said, if you guys want to help us out, we need your help. Go ahead. Fake news, yes. We do need your help. So if you want to help us grow, we're not asking for money. We're asking for a few seconds of your time. Please go to YouTube. Please subscribe to YouTube. You can find our link at troubledminds.org. YouTube. Follow the page. Click the notification bell, and that will let you know when we go live, and you can come join us, give us a call, talk about all these amazing things. And if not, please, if you're into Apple and iTunes, please leave us a review at iTunes. Please go to iTunes, give us the thumbs up or whatever you do, and let us know. Let other people know that we're not terrible. Anyway, so we appreciate that, and thanks for listening to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, here with your co-host, Frank Pierce. From our Troubled Minds to yours. Have a great night.